Beijing's decision on Block Tencent Douyu-Tiger teeth merger marks the end of the freewheeling internet era. The Chinese government had never said no to a merger deal in the country's technology sector until last Saturday, when the State Administration for Market Regulation blocked Tencent Holdings' plan to merge Douyu and Huya, two video game live streaming websites it controls. Analysts says Beijing's veto is a clear sign that the Chinese authorities are no longer shy to act on antitrust issues, putting an end to a freewheeling era in which big tech companies were able to engage in aggressive merger and acquisition activity to achieve market dominance. Moreover, the decision to reject the merger, which would have created a video game streaming behemoth worth more than $10 billion, allowing Tencent to take on Amazon's Twitch, sets a precedent with far-reaching implications for the country's internet industry. This is the first case involving internet platforms, a sector where antitrust authorities have long been very careful when it comes to making decisions relating to what would constitute a concentration of business operators, said Laura Wei, lawyer at WH law firm. In this case, the antitrust authorities have made a comprehensive assessment of how the merger is likely to have an extremely adverse impact on competition. In a regulatory ruling published on Saturday explaining its decision to block the deal, SAMR said that Huya and Douyu's combined market share in the video game live streaming industry would be over 70% if the merger went ahead, giving Tencent, the world's biggest games publisher, a dominant role in gaming. The merger plan had been many years in the making at Tencent. The Shenzhen-based internet giant is Huya's biggest shareholder, with a 36.9% stake, and also owns over a third of Douyu, with both firms listed in the US. Had the merger gone through, it would have given Tencent significant control over the video game streaming market, allowing the tech giant to control the video games ecosystem in China of development, publishing, and promotion. Download copy of the 2021 China Internet Report here. Henry Gao, a trade law professor at Singapore Management University, expects more mergers to be halted on similar antitrust grounds in future as China's antitrust regulator meets instructions from the country's leadership to prevent the disorderly expansion of capital. I expect the biggest platforms, the dominators in the market, to be worst hit by the latest enforcement drive, he said. A meeting earlier this year of the Politburo, China's supreme policy-making body chaired by President Xi Jinping, concluded that China must rein in the expansion of capital as the ruling Chinese Communist Party looks to head off potential social unrest linked to the growing hold of big tech on the nation's economy. Huya and Douyu were once bitter rivals, filing a series of expensive lawsuits against each other as they went head-to-head over the past decade. Tencent, an early investor in both companies, had the opportunity to take over both platforms should it choose to. Last April, Tencent exercised an option to gain control of Huya after earlier seizing control of Douyu. This allowed Tencent to propose a merger of the two companies with its own video game streaming arm Penguin Esports in October 2020. Inquiry into the merger of video game streamers Huya, Douyu put spotlight on Tencent. The proposed deal seemed like a natural step, given that China's tech industry had already seen its fair share of mega mergers. In 2015, for example, Alibaba Group holding-backed Meituan merged with Tencent-backed Dianping to create food delivery giant Meituan Dianping, valued at $15 billion at the time. As of publication, Meituan has a market capitalization of 1.78 trillion Hong Kong dollars. Also in 2015, ride-hailing firms Didi Dash and Kuaidi Dash merged to create Didi Chuxing, with a valuation then estimated at roughly $6 billion. Didi later took over Uber's China operation in another headline-grabbing deal, which catapulted the company's valuation to $35 billion the following year. The market capitalization of Didi, which recently listed in the US, now sits above $60 billion. Yu Yuding, senior partner at Shanghai Debund law firm, said the Huya merger rejection could just be the beginning. It remains to be seen whether the government will continue to hold Tencent accountable for various violations when it comes to the concentration of business operators, said Yu. SAMR dished out 22 fines of $500,000 each to the country's big tech firms last Wednesday, citing violations of concentration of business operators with respect to a series of mergers and acquisitions deals closed in the last decade. The transgressions were not strong enough to necessitate the deals being unwound though. Tencent Music will have to give up music label exclusivity, sources say. The companies fined include Alibaba, which owns the South China Morning Post, Tencent, and Didi. While a fine of 500,000 yuan is relatively small change for the country's big tech firms, it is the maximum amount allowed under China's antitrust law for merger deal violation. Analysts said the blocked merger may force Tencent to sell off its stake in one of the two streaming companies, given the risks of working with both due to ongoing antitrust regulation. Mio Kato, research analyst at Lightstream Research, wrote on fintech platform Smart Karma that it would make sense for Tencent to divest its stake in Douyu, given Beijing's scrutiny of its dominance in the gaming market. Given that Huya and Douyu are both likely to list in Hong Kong at some point, that could provide an opportunity for Tencent to sell its stake in Douyu, he wrote.